Welcome to part 4 of the Gen Z Nostalgia Iceberg. 1 whole year later. Yeah, I started this series 1 year ago. It took me a while to finish it. This isn't even the last part. I'm not gonna waste your time. This is part 4 of a series. If you haven't seen the first 3 parts, then you should probably watch those before you watch this. Let's get right into it. Joining me today is a very special guest who I'm sure most of you recognize. Book of Valis.
Sup y'all, it's Ariel from the Book of Valis channel, where I post similar content to icebergs and such. Ray kindly invited me to explain some of the entries on this iceberg, and since it's one of my favorite iceberg series, I agreed. So here we go.
And now for a quick word from today's sponsor. We'll get right onto the video.
So, do you want me to just throw my voice, or...?
Nah man, not necessary. The mic works fine.
Thinks he knows everything.
Now let's get started. So you claim to be a real mummy?
Claim? Don't try your luck, son. I drain the life force out of mortals 10 times your stature. Yeah, that's right. Hide behind your phone, little girl. You think it'll keep you safe? Back in the early 1990s, I mastered the art of spreading my curse via the means of computer viruses. Remember the I love you virus? That was me. Bonzi buddy? Me. You are an idiot? Me. But also apparently you. Yeah. You. It was going great. Curses left and right. But then people started getting smart to my ways. The worst thing to have come between me and my curses. Atlas VPN. I can't keep up. Atlas VPN can be used on unlimited devices, further spreading its protection against my curses. Atlas VPN not only blocks all of my annoying pop-ups, but it also blocks all the malicious links, ads, and trackers, and notifies you if somebody is trying to steal your data. It's the stupid price that really did me in. Atlas VPN is the most affordable VPN on the market, and it's made even cheaper when using the Raymundo 2112 associate link. Yeah!
Honey, what you looking at?
Their privacy is top-notch. Top-notch.
Scribblenauts. Scribblenauts was a really unique series of video games where you could basically type anything you wanted and it would show up in the game. It'd be presented by a puzzle which you then had to creatively solve with whatever you could think of. The game was really unique. It really let its players truly be creative puzzle solvers, since there were tons of different ways that you could solve these puzzles. LMFAO. LMFAO is an electric music duo who you might not know by name, but you definitely know by their music. Songs like I'm Sexy and I Know It, Party Rock Anthem, and Shots are incredibly iconic early 2010 songs that the majority of Gen Z children probably used to sing. Whether you like the song or you just had the song stuck in your head, you remember these guys. Fooey Cooley School Supplies. Back in the 2000s, we had Fooey Cooley School Supplies, which was a brand that was super fun. The mascot was a derpy little monkey that would appear on some pencil toppers and erasers. They also had scented erasers alongside pencil sharpeners. These products were just pure fun and are incredibly nostalgic to those who went to school from 2005 to 2012. Empire Today. Here, just watch this.
800-588-2300 Empire
Today.
Need I say more?
Pop Tropica. Pop Tropica is an online children's RPG created by none other than Jeff Kinney. Yeah, that's the creator of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. The game was pretty popular with kids and has a pretty recognizable art style. Pop Tropica has many different islands that you could visit, some being themed off of Jeff Kinney's books. Whenever a new Wimpy Kid book released, you would most likely find promotions for it on Pop Tropica. Many children grew up with this game and fondly remember it to this day. Luckily, it's still playable, so if you want to go back and relive your childhood, you can.
Mike Mozart. Mike Mozart was one of the original big YouTubers back in the early days of the site. Mike was a toy designer, and so he started off a channel by the name of Jeepers Media, where he took a look at toys that he deemed fails. These videos were incredibly entertaining, both because Mike has a very endearing and funny personality, but also because the toys he took a look at were often just kinda crazy and outrageous. Mike claimed the catchphrase, "I mean really, what were they thinking?" His videos continued to become more and more popular, and so he decided to make a second channel by the name of The Toy Channel. The Toy Channel focused on good toys, and the reviews were generally more short form. The thing about Mike Mozart that made his content good is that he wasn't pandering to children making these videos. The videos were, at times, a bit inappropriate for children,
Peter Griffin,
with some adult jokes and light swearing in some, but this didn't stop children from watching his videos. I personally grew up with Mike Mozart, and he was one of my favorite YouTubers out there. Mike continued to make videos both on the Toy Channel and Jeepers Media until around 2013, where out of nowhere he just completely stopped uploading, with his final video being about Cars-themed Easter toys. Many people think that Mike passed away, and that's why he stopped, but fortunately, that's far from the truth. Mike Mozart's not only a YouTuber, toy designer, and voice actor, but he's also an incredible street artist. His work is incredibly cool, and I highly recommend you check it out. Mike Mozart has stayed active on both Instagram and Twitter for years now. Throughout the past few years, Mike has returned to the Toy Channel and done some live streams to update people on his life, and of course, to interact with his fans. Within the time that Mike was off the internet, he actually put a lot of work into himself, and really into his health. He did the keto diet and lost a ton of weight. This drastically changed his voice and his appearance.
I'm sending this Halloween message to let everyone know my voice appeared in hundreds of animated Halloween toys for decades. All the open market stuff that you got from China that said, Happy Halloween, or door knockers say, trick or treat, or go away.
Nowadays, Mike looks better than ever and has a badass deep voice. There's a documentary in the making about his life that will appear on streaming soon, so be sure to check that out to learn more. Mike Mozart was a big part of mine and many other Gen Z kids' childhood, so I'm happy to talk about him here. Also, he follows me on Twitter, so that's awesome. Ronald McDonald Insanity. Ronald McDonald Insanity is a classic viral video from YouTube of a remixed Japanese McDonald's commercial using clips of Ronald being silly to the song Un Owen Was Heard. The video is an absolute classic and was viewed by many Gen Z children, and it now stands as a video that's part of all of our collective forgotten memories. Angry German Kid. Angry German Kid was a video of a German boy playing Unreal Tournament and getting really angry at the game. His video blew up and was watched by millions. The video is acted, the kid isn't actually raging through it, but not many people knew that. This video was one of those classic viral videos that was all over YouTube. Many videos were made parodying it, and it basically became a meme. A lot of the time, the kid was being made fun of. It was essentially a meme format with people adding subtitles for whatever context the meme was trying to provide. So let's say he'd be angry about a new movie coming out. They'd show clips from the movie and then clips of the boy screaming with subtitles, basically saying what he's angry about. Unfortunately, the video blowing up kind of ruined the guy's life, since he was so directly tied to it. He claims that he eventually went crazy from relentless bullying, which led him to intimidate his classmates and drunkenly announce a potential killing spree at his school. This resulted in him being expelled and serving a month in prison. Nowadays, he's a bodybuilder and a rapper and has a channel on YouTube where he shows off his physique and his music. Baby Einstein. Baby Einstein was a children's edutainment brand from the late 90s and early 2000s that specialized in a variety of products such as CDs, DVDs, toys, books, etc. I personally grew up with this brand when I was a little kid, and looking back on it nowadays, it's very nostalgic. At the time, some said that Baby Einstein was actually slowing development in children, which I did not know until now. Whether or not it actually had a negative effect on Gen Z kids can't really be determined, but maybe? Habbo Hotel. Habbo Hotel was an online game that was marketed as a hangout for teens and young adults. It was one of the first of its time and had a decent following. The game really blew up after being targeted on 4chan. 4chan users trolled the website, all dressing in the same outfit and blocking the entrance to the pool. There were stingrays with AIDS in the pool. From there, the catchphrase "pools closed" skyrocketed and bled its way into the real world. Go Animate. Go Animate was an online quote-unquote animation software where you could basically drag and drop little characters onto a background and use text-to-speech tools to make them say whatever you wanted. To be clear, there was no actual animation that you would do, everything was just pre-recorded animations that you would drag and drop onto the characters. Go Animate videos were huge back in the day, and a weird subgenre of them spawned, this being random characters getting grounded for doing something bad. It started off simple with a character like Caillou going to Chuck E. Cheese without his parents' permission, but then became really bizarre. I personally was a Go Animate user myself, and made some pretty bizarre videos.
No! It's you from that terrible show! We already know how to be beautiful. We've watched it once or twice. You turned that man with the red shirt into a big muscle man guy. Get away from us! No!
No, you are terrible. Here is a potion that makes you handsome. I got this. You're grounded for 2 trillion years.
That was crazy, dude.
Go Animate shut down and was changed to Beyond, and it had a much more professional look. It's advertised towards companies who need cheap, fast animated videos for brands. They've distanced themselves from these old Family Guy style characters for a much more bland and corporate look. VAT19. VAT19 is an online shopping website which was created by a man named Jamie Salvatore all the way back in 2000. They specialize in curiously awesome products of all sorts. They started a YouTube channel in 2007 and made videos showing off the products that they sold in very entertaining and fun videos. After a while, there was a crew of VAT19 employees who all featured in their videos and advertisements. They all ended up becoming recognizable. As a little kid, I was a massive fan of all things VAT19, and I watched all their videos religiously. They actually still make videos to this day, and all their classic stuff is still up if you want to revisit them and check it out.
Junie B. Jones. Junie B. Jones was a children's novel series about a little girl named Junie. There were 20 books in the series, and they focused on Junie's experiences in kindergarten and first grade. These books were read by many children back in the 2000s, so that's why it's on here.
Light versions of mobile games. So back when mobile games weren't just made to squeeze as much money out of the consumer as possible, the games were actually released similar to how console or PC games were. As in, they had a set price that you'd pay one time and then be able to access the full game. However, they would provide free versions of these games, usually labeled as light versions. These were essentially demos of the games that gave you a free taste of the full game. I personally much prefer this version of doing mobile games. VTech. VTech is a company that makes products for kids, and most notably their mini laptops from the 2000s. They made a lot of toys that sort of resembled popular gaming consoles at the time, but only with the VTech toys they were made educational in some way. I remember seeing my friends with these toys back in the day, and so seeing pictures of them is so nostalgic, it brings me right back. Reply Girls. In the early days of YouTube, there was essentially a feature where people would make reply videos to the more popular videos on the platform. A lot of the time, people making these replies would be attractive women with their boobies out. The reply videos would end up appearing next to the actual viral videos, so many people would end up seeing it. Their boobies were out in the thumbnails, so lots of people would click. People quickly started to despise reply girls since they found their videos to be incredibly lazy and just kind of gamey. After a while, the way that YouTube worked changed, effectively eliminating the reply girls from being viable. Gerber Grow Up Plan commercial. Here, just watch this.
Attention parents and grandparents of young children. Gerber Life is accepting applications for their affordable Grow Up Plan. The Grow Up Plan gives your child $10,000 in whole life insurance protection now, then doubles automatically to $20,000 later at no extra cost. Free information will be sent to parents and grandparents who call now. Help give your child a head start for just pennies a day. Don't wait. Call now for free information.
Call 1-800-829-8866. Call now.
This ad would play very, very frequently on channels like Nick Jr., Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Boomerang. This commercial is so nostalgic to watch nowadays. I feel like a lot of kids didn't like it much at the time, just considering how often it would play, but at this point, me and many others look back very fondly. Mad Cartoon Network. Mad was a TV show that was basically a kids and teen-friendly version of Robot Chicken. Mad parodied many popular kid-friendly IPs, some of which being really funny and silly, and others being terrifying and traumatizing.
Not a problem for SpongeWow.
Speak for yourself, it's burning!
Yeah, for some reason, Mad really didn't hold back in a lot of ways, leading to some very memorable moments for a lot of kids. For better or for worse.
I Feel Fantastic. I Feel Fantastic is a very bizarre old YouTube video displaying a robot woman singing about how fantastic she feels. The video alone is one that makes many people feel a lot of different ways. Some think it's a very funny video while others think it's terrifying, while some are more in the middle. Unfortunately, I can't play the audio since as of late it's been copyrighted, but you can still watch the original. This video has got some myths and legends around it as well. Some think that this video was created by a serial killer, and the reason the robot sings about feeling fantastic is because that's what the killer wished his victims would say while he killed them. The clothes on the robot would be that of the victims, according to the story. Obviously, this isn't true, and this video is just a weird art project, but it's still fun to think about.
Hungry Pumpkin. This entry is referring to an old Flash website, which was essentially an education tool to help people learn English. The website blew up because of its silly nature and bizarre visuals. The most popular part of this website was the Hungry Pumpkin. There was a pumpkin man that would walk in and ask you to give him food. You'd then give him whatever he wanted and he would eat it. If you didn't give him the food, he would get mad and throw the food. This game kind of blew up back in meme culture in the early 2010s, and I personally found it really funny at the time. Hell, I even made a video of myself playing the game. Unfortunately, the game's not around anymore since the Adobe Flash player is no longer supported, but you can still play it in the Flash archive. Mugen. This is a game engine responsible for those awesome crossover fights that you'd see on YouTube. You'd see characters like Ronald McDonald fighting Peter Griffin, or Goku versus Rainbow Dash, or something like that, so on and so forth. This game was essentially the ultimate crossover, and it was always really fun to see battles since they were usually really similar to the source material, and the people who developed these characters did a really good job most of the time. Jib Jab. Jib Jab is a website that was created in 1999. At first, it was just a way to make funny digital postcards. It was relatively obscure until 2004, when they parodied the presidential election, which blew up and made them way more popular. They continued to make videos parodying politics alongside other non-political postcard videos. They were really popular, especially during the Christmas seasons, and people loved turning themselves into elves and watching them dance, I guess. They started a video series called Year in Review, which was basically a song parody of the past year. These videos were really popular on YouTube, and they continued to be made for a while. The platform continued to grow and grow more and more until around 2012 when they started to plateau and started to fall off a bit, but the website has stayed online this entire time. In 2020, they did their first Year in Review video since 2012. I personally used Jib Jab a lot back in the 2000s, and I really enjoyed it. The Halloween ones were my favorite. Mr. Six commercials. This entry is referring to the very popular Six Flags commercials featuring the funny little old man. Here, check this out. These commercials were very popular back in the day, so that's why it's here.
Ben Weevils. Ben Weevils was a British MMORPG similar to Moshi Monsters or Club Penguin. The game was released in 2007 and got a decent player base. The game was brought back into the public eye by the YouTuber Memulus back in 2017. Since then, the game has been shut down due to the fact that Flash is no longer supported. Town of Salem. Town of Salem is an online browser game centered around the Salem witch trials. The gameplay is similar to that of something like Mafia. Players who were assigned the evil role would attack the good ones, and people with the good role would protect the living. Once a player is found out to be evil, they are lynched and their roles are revealed. The game came out in 2014 and is still running to this day.
Scary logos. This entry is referring to logos of different companies that would play before or after a TV show or something along those lines. Notable examples are Vid and Classic Chupa. Chad Warden.
Sup, this is Chad Warden here. Alright, I'm talking about that PS Triple. The PS Triple. I ain't talking about that Wii. That Wii? Yeah, people will be talking about how it's all new. Hey, but you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say is that, come on.
Chad Warden was an online character created and portrayed by Anthony Pinto. He made his first video in 2007 where he talks about how much better the PS3 is over the Wii. His main thing is to call the PS3 the PS Triple. That's basically his catchphrase. Chad was a troll and was making these videos to get a reaction out of people, since the things he was saying were very inflammatory. People fell hook, line, and sinker for it back in the day, but nowadays people look back fondly on his videos. Little People. Little People is a brand of children's toys that have been around since 1959. The toys were pretty popular back in the 2000s, meaning a lot of Gen Z kids had them growing up, including me. They had a variety of toys alongside some stop-motion TV specials, which are incredibly nostalgic nowadays. The toys are being made to this day, but have been slightly redesigned to make them more modern looking. Raka Raka. Raka Raka is a YouTube channel that specializes in making really violent and shocking videos. They really blew up after making some videos featuring Ronald McDonald. These videos were really disturbing to kids back in the day, since they usually didn't start disturbing, so you'd be in a false sense of security to what feels like a normal funny video, and then it all just goes crazy. I personally was not a fan of Raka Raka as a kid, since their videos really disturbed me. It got to the point where I'd write Raka Raka on a piece of paper and shoot it with a Nerf gun to alleviate the stress that the videos gave me. Emp Lemon. Emp Lemon, or Emperor Lemon, is a YouTuber who created many famous YouTube poofs back in the day, many of which are fondly remembered by people. He still makes videos to this day, but they are more so in the form of video essays, and they're genuinely really good. He's taken down a lot of his older YouTube poop videos, but you can still find them otherwise. Redneck Rampage. Redneck Rampage is the 1997 MS-DOS first-person shooter where you play as a redneck and run around town shooting things. And you curse. The game's very violent and edgy, and I'm not going to talk about it too much more, but if you remember it, you remember it. Blood, 97. Blood is another MS-DOS first-person shooter game where you run around and shoot bad guys. I don't want to risk anything, like with the last entry, but it's here. Bottom of the ice. Zany Brainy. Zany Brainy was a chain of retail stores that were centered around selling fun educational toys. Zany Brainy started in 1991 but closed all of its stores in 2003. The look of these stores are incredibly nostalgic and many people remember this place and miss it. It actually made a return in 2020, but only in the form of an online store, where they basically just sold Zany Brainy merchandise. So if you want to kind of relive your Zany Brainy memories, you can. Kind of. Ladder Go. This entry is referring to an old YouTube video showing a guy playing a video game. He sees a goat walking by, the goat then goes up a ladder, and the animation just completely bugs out, which leaves the guy laughing hysterically for the rest of the video. There is then a video released of a real-life goat climbing up a ladder with the audio from the original video playing in the background. Alien Myth 64. Alien Myth 64 is a YouTube channel that used to specialize in making YouTube poops that were very popular back in the day. Some of the older videos on this channel have been taken down, but if you visit nowadays you can still see a good chunk of them. Nowadays the channel is still somewhat active with a series named Emo Bob's Slaughter Pants. The series kind of blew up in 2021 with the video Emo Bob Works at Taco Bell. My culture is not your costume. Pez stop motion animations. This one really brings me back. Adam Pezapane, otherwise known as Pez, is an animator and director who created a YouTube channel where he uploaded extremely satisfying, cool stop motion videos. They genuinely hold up really well and they're extremely satisfying. If you haven't seen the videos or haven't seen them in a long time, I highly recommend you check it out. The stop motion videos essentially consist of a guy making food out of inedible objects. It's weird to explain, but once you see it, you'll get it.
Nico Nico Doga. Nico Nico was a Japanese video sharing website with this little box TV mascot, Nico Nico being a Japanese term meaning to laugh or to smile. The term Doga denotes to videos or movies. On YouTube you could find a ton of Nico Nico Doga videos, which a lot of the time were funny versions of anime openings or Vocaloid songs.
Evil Elmo and Evil Barney. Yeah, this one really brings me back. Back in the early days of YouTube, there were a ton of videos portraying Barney and Elmo being evil. These videos were usually made in MS Paint, and they were very unique to say the least. I don't know why there was such a fascination with these characters being evil, but there was. There's also an iconic video by the name of The Story of Evil Elmo, which is an incredible video. It was scary at the time, but nowadays it's hilarious. It truly is comedy heaven, alongside the Evil Barney videos as well. RPG Maker. RPG Maker is a software that you can use to make your very own RPG. It's in the name. Many games have been made using RPG Maker of various levels of quality. G Major effects videos. Remember those old videos that weren't much more than a popular video with the sound through G majors and the visuals through an inverted filter? Well, that's what this is referring to. I'm not sure exactly why these videos were so popular, but hey, I can't judge. Bootleg video games. Back in the 2000s, bootleg video games ran rampant. Usually being cartridge-based, these wacky bootleg games were often direct knockoffs of popular video games, often Nintendo ones. This could also be referring to bootleg cartridges of Game Boy games, for example. These were pretty much just fake versions of actual games.
Pico School. Pico School was a flash game on Newgrounds created by Tom Fulp all the way back in 1999. The game has you play as the titular Pico, defending yourself from goth kids who are attacking your school. The game is super violent and is about a very touchy subject matter. The game was very popular on Newgrounds and was one of the first games ever. It has multiple sequels and even has an entire day devoted to it by Newgrounds. The character has skyrocketed in popularity since his inclusion in Friday Night Funkin', meaning Pico is going to be something that is both nostalgic to millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha all at once. Tasty Planet. Tasty Planet is a video game where you start off as a tiny little microscopic blob, eating everything in sight. You start off with just specks of dust to crumbs, and eventually growing to the point where you are eating planets.
25 Ways to Kill Yoshi. 25 Ways to Kill Yoshi is a super classic YouTube video showing a Yoshi plush getting killed in 25 different ways. The video to this day is incredibly iconic and entertaining, and it still holds up. The video is created by a YouTuber by the name of Shoney Boy, who is actually an incredibly nice guy. He's made sequels to the Yoshi video, and I'd highly suggest that you check his stuff out. Zula Patrol. Zula Patrol was a TV show from 2005. The show featured a group of aliens going to a bunch of different planets and having adventures on them, while also being an educational show. I loved this show growing up so much. As you can probably tell, I've got a deep love for aliens, so this show was just perfect. It was pretty obscure, all things considered, and I'm gonna wonder how many of you actually recognize this. If you remember Zula Patrol, please tell me in the comments, because you're one of the few. The show was cancelled in 2008, but continued to air after that. There was also a game to go along with it. Zula Patrol had an MMORPG sort of game by the name of Zula World, and this game was the shit. I remember playing this game when I was a little kid, and I loved it. They had a membership system similar to Club Penguin, where there was little pet creatures that you could take care of that would actually just die if you neglected them, which was intense, but realistic, I guess. The game was really fun and featured a bunch of different little mini games inside of it. There really isn't a lot of footage to go along with it, unfortunately. A lot of it is lost media. The game was shut down around 2014, and since it's not too popular, no one really did much work to archive it. Zula World was really good, especially just considering the fact that it was based on an obscure TV show that wasn't that popular. I've got so many memories with this game. And honestly, I'd love to see it rewritten in the same way that Club Penguin and Moshi Monsters have been. Whether or not that'll actually happen is unlikely, but hey, we can dream. Crush on Boxy. So this entry is pretty specific, but if you know, you know. Back in the early days of YouTube, there was a user by the name of Boxy Babe. Originally, her videos were just saying hello to her online friends. This was just a 16-year-old girl who decided to upload herself on the internet.
Okay, my name is Boxy. Most of you know me as, most of you know me as Boxy, I suppose. If you're watching this, you probably know me as Boxy.
But what made it different was her personality. Boxy was really bubbly and happy and just like sweet. When I say bubbly, she was very, very bubbly. Like she was carbonated. Her videos were found by people on 4chan, and, well, as 4chan goes, they became kind of divided on the topic, similar to what happened with My Little Pony. Half of the internet loved Boxy, and half of the internet hated Boxy. There were like defense and attack forces for her, like it got really intense. However, I'm on the side of the Boxy soldiers, like the pro-Boxy people. I don't see how you could hate her, just doesn't make sense to me. But regardless, these videos bring me back to a much simpler time. When I was a little kid, I had a crush on Boxy, and quite frankly, little me was completely in the right. It's just like, her personality in the videos started off more down to earth, and she ended up playing it up as a character, becoming more aware of it, becoming a YouTuber, really. But throughout it all, she was always just so entertaining and fun and cute, and we've never really had anyone else like her. Also, just personal side note, this hair, right, you know, this like 2000s emo scene girl hair is like the cutest thing ever, and I just, it should be brought back. It's swag, it's great, but not in like the TikTok alt bunny hat way, more so in the MCR MySpace Cobra Starship way, if that makes any sense. This emo girl side fringe is my weakness. It's official. Honestly, this is probably just inviting in a bunch of Raymundo x Boxy fan art, but you know, that's what happens. I wasn't the only one. Many Gen Z kids had a crush on her growing up. And also, a lot of people who weren't kids, which is kinda weird, considering the fact that her biggest video, she's like 16 in it. So, take of that what you will. But regardless, Boxy's got a special place, and mine and many other people's hearts. The woman who played Boxy, Katie, actually still has a YouTube channel. It's called A New Hope. She also posts on Instagram still. She just seems like an incredibly sweet person, and it's nice to see that the actual person behind the character kind of reflects the character in that way of just like bubbliness and sweetness, even though she's not as crazy as Boxy. Burger King Pokeball Recall Advertisement. During the Pokemon boom of 1999, Burger King released a series of toys with their kids menu, which were plastic Pokeballs that you would open up and find a Pokemon inside. The toys were incredibly popular, and kids loved them. Everything was good, and the products would bring a lot of joy to children and lots of profit to Burger King. However, unfortunately, the story ends in tragedy. Reports had come out that a baby had suffocated on one of these, and since the baby had put the ball over its mouth, it got stuck. The balls didn't have any ventilation holes, so there was no breathing through it. On December 27th of 1999, Burger King set to recall over 25 million Pokeballs, and offered people a small fry if they returned their Pokeball to a restaurant. Burger King aired a recall advertisement to alert people of the situation. Here's that ad.
Burger King and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission want you to know about the voluntary recall of this Pokemon Pokeball. The ball may pose a suffocation hazard to children under 3. Throw the ball away or return it to Burger King. The safety of your child is of the utmost importance to us.
There's something so unnerving about that video. The framing of the toy, the text, the narration, the analog effect to it, the lighting, all of it. It just really serves to make it a really unnerving video. Regardless, some early Gen Z kids may remember this commercial on TV, from when they were little kids, or otherwise they watched it on YouTube. This recall video has inspired people to make videos paying homage to it, and really playing on the scary aspect of it all. Nowadays, whenever you see a Pokeball toy that opens up into 2 halves, there's always ventilation holes. Alright, well, that wraps it up for the Gen Z Nostalgia Iceberg. I want to give a huge thank you to Book of Valis for featuring on this video. So cool to have worked with him. I think it's an awesome collaboration. I'd love to do more stuff in the future. Let me know if you liked seeing him on here. I'm sure you did.
Book of Alice here again. Thanks to Ray for inviting me for this collab, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the entries on it later.
1 whole year later, we continued this series. And don't worry, it's coming to an end soon. I hope that as usual, this video brought back a bunch of sacred childhood memories. Thank you all for watching, check out Atlas VPN, and I'll see you all in the next one.